on.
Gotcha. Now I was schooling Jorge on Rick James. Like I was saying, like Rick James the coolest motherfucker that ever lived, bruh. And it's unfortunate that his party boy, his legacy. Oh shit, let me turn this up. His legacy, because it'll kick us off. Um, it got tainted
Yeah.
because of him partying and shit. But nah, he was in a band with Neil Young in Toronto back in the day. Like he dodged the Vietnam War. Yeah,
Right.
dude.
All right, gentlemen. Well, we're live.
What's good, man?
What's up?
How goes it? So, welcome aboard. Kind of let things calm down for a little while. Y'all woosah, let the people trickle in. In the meantime, we can
Yeah.
exchange some niceties if you want to. How you doing, bro? Like, how's life? How's everything going with you so far?
Uh, Man, life's great, man. Work's going great. Just got a raise at my job and shit, and so family life is doing good.
Keni be doing real man work. He drives fucking heavy equipment and shit.
That's what you out there doing?
I do a bunch of stuff. Like in the wintertime I operate a 955 loader with an 18-foot push on it. And then
Yep.
do
Big boy
masonry.
stuff.
But I just started a new job a couple months ago. I'm working for a scene shop building set and scenery pieces for theatrical plays and stuff.
Oh,
What?
shit.
That's dope. Man, it's this dude I watch out of New York, man. Upstate. And he a comedian, but he do that. He build props and stuff. He an artist. His name is Peter Kane, I think. He be spoofing the Bigfoots and shit. But he a dog trainer too. He like talk to pigeons, but some of the artwork that he does is hilarious, dude. Some of the artwork he does though is genius, bro. Genius. So yeah, I applaud that, bro. That's dope.
Thank you. Yeah, I love it, man. I make really good money doing it, and I get to build stuff all day, and so it's fun.
Okay.
It's just been kicking my ass because we've got 2 shows we're working on right now, and we've got a deadline. So I've been super busy the last 2 weeks.
Well, shit, do tell. Can you divulge the shows, or are you like under some kind of non-disclosure? Or
No.
something?
So the 2 shows we're working on are for the Manhattan School of Music.
Okay.
And one of them is called Bye Bye Birdie, and the other one is Midsummer Night's Dream. So we've built the decking and the portals and a bunch of scenery pieces, and I've been working on a bunch of props for the show too and stuff. So it's been a lot of fun.
Well, I'm not surprised of your ability to build stuff based on.
I was thinking the same thing.
The
You
stuff
kind
you
of
build
telling
for
on
your.
yourself. That's like
And,
foreshadowing what we getting into. So shit, you comfortable. You know
Well,
your
let
way
me-
around building stuff.
Let me do something real quick because I was just looking
Excuse
at.
me for
Keni's
1 minute.
channel.
I gotta turn a Python off before I overfill a tank.
Yeah, no problem. That way it'll give me a little bit of time to plug me in. And Sarah Skitty Nona pointed out to me that Keni is real close to hitting 1,000. I went in there; he's at 920. So those of you guys that are here, if you haven't had the opportunity to subscribe to this channel, we normally don't do plugs like that, but Keni is so close to getting to 1,000. Let's see if we can help him out and get there. If anybody, there's a lot of people that are worth a follow, but Keni is definitely one of those people. The stuff that he's doing in the hobby, the niche that he's kind of carved out for him is very, very unique. Or not very unique, but it's not that many people doing what he does. There's a few people that I know of that are kind of falling into that niche, and
Right.
so show that support and love that you guys know how to give. So that's my little rant on that. You got anything for us, Steve?
Say what now?
Do you have anything for us? Anything you want to? Well, Keni gets back.
No, I appreciate y'all that stopped by earlier today for the show we had this morning. If y'all get a chance, go catch that replay. Real good information. It was actually a real good show. And we're about to have another good one today. We double dipping today, y'all. So
Yeah, and I appreciate you guys accommodating for my
yeah.
schedule and everything.
Well,
No,
hell yeah.
thank you for being on, bro.
Well, and here's the thing. This is something that Steve and I have talked about. None of this stuff is set in stone. And if we really want to go after somebody that we want to have in the show, why can't we accommodate that?
That's right.
I know it kind of sucks because sometimes, and it's not going to be like a normal thing because most people have been. A Saturday usually works for them, but we're not doing it in a way to stomp on anybody else that could be going at the same time. It's just sometimes life gets in the way and you got to adjust and overcome. And
Right.
That's right.
now, also what we're kind of interested to see is it gives us a different perspective because I know some people can't make the morning show and they have to catch the replay. We're just kind of curious to see how this works out.
Right.
And it's not something that we're going to say, oh, we're going to evenings because there's a couple things that happen. One of them, a lot of people have stuff to do in the evenings, and the other one is my schedule is a little bit more difficult to do it on the evenings as far as being consistently here because I do work rotating schedules. And the morning one, for some reason, seems to work out where, it doesn't conflict too much with what I got going on with work and personal life. But that's kind of one of the reasons why we really haven't done an evening show. But this one was special. We had to do it for the evening.
Well, I appreciate you guys.
No, it's the truth. It goes right with our theme. It goes with everything. I'm gonna be real. It happened because that one night we was on somebody's show, man. I think it was Corey. She was sick that one night, and me and Jorge, I filled in for her. Shout out to them. If y'all ain't, go check them out on Instagram. Corey Dorable, Cali Aquatic. Yeah. Go check them out.
Yeah.
But me and Keni ended up going on a tangent, if you will.
We started geeking out about native.
Yeah, we just start, bro, just geeking out of shit. Then we got off the internet and we were just chopping it up like homies. And then I was like thinking, bro, I got a phone, He was like, oh yeah. He was like, fuck it, we out here already. Let's just keep talking. And we chopped it up. I was outside in my little area, smoking, and we were just shooting the shit like bros. So I was like, Jorge, bro, we got to get Keni on the show so we can deep dive, because when we was filling in for Corey, it wasn't necessarily set up for that, but it was still well received. Here, we can nerd out. And that's exactly what we intend to do.
And it's so interesting how from that idea, this whole series of videos or streams that we've done kind of started from that conversation you and Keni were having. Because I can remember when you came back and you mentioned that, and you said, why don't we start doing the series? And it's kind of been a thing for us where it's interesting because we thought we were going to do maybe a couple of episodes on this topic, but it's so interesting how things have just naturally been aligning themselves. And just when we think we're coming to the end, we find out, we can bring out so-and-so. And they can continue that conversation. And that's kind of the little streak that we've been on,
right?
Which is, to me has been very fascinating because I've learned so much. And everybody that we've had, even though it's a similar topic, it isn't. And everybody brings their own little flavor to it.
There you go. Everybody really stank to it.
Yep, that's what I have really enjoyed about this.
Yes.
And I'm kind of looking forward. Although we did Florida natives and we did some of that stuff and we did the Gambusies, now we're looking at minnows and chiners. That hopefully that's what we're going to get into tonight.
Right. See how y'all doing it up on the northeast. You northeast, right?
Yeah, I'm in New York. Yeah.
Okay, so I know the people, they waiting, everybody ready. Let's get into it if you want to start.
Do we want to go ahead and do a little bit of housekeeping and kind of?
You want to do that first?
Yeah, let's do that because once we get talking, I know we're not gonna stop.
Yeah.
I mean,
you kind of got a point. You got a point.
if I'm pretty excited, I know you are, and so it's gonna it's gonna keep going. All right. Well, first of all, I want to thank Sketty Nona for being the very first one here tonight. Thank you, Sarah, and she's the one that pointed out that Keni is close to 1,000. So I went and looked. He's sitting at 920. Let's try to get him there. That's only 80 away. So
right.
if you can share out his information, and it's definitely worth a follow. I mean, I don't know why you guys are following us because Kenny's doing some real stuff out there. So, Mark Shelton.
In their defense, I haven't posted any long form content in like 6 months. So I've been
you right behind me, so you good.
Life's been busy.
Hey, Mark, thanks for being here. Obviously, Sen Ginger, we couldn't do this without you. Thank you for being here and supporting us so much. Jay, Nano, the Nano Aquarium guy, Jay. I always call people by the first name, though. Thanks for being here. Let's see, who else do we have in here? Craig, thank you for being here from Craig's Catfish Cave. And I just saw somebody else.
What are we on YouTube right now? We live on YouTube?
Yeah, we're live on YouTube.
Oh man, I could have done this from my computer then.
Yeah. Well, you want to go switch up if you want?
Yeah,
we can
you
do that.
can if you want to.
No.
I mean, no, we plant twins. You got a green heart over there. I got one too.
No, we're good because I don't have a cool background for my computer.
Oh, okay. So Craig, thanks. Larry D, thank you, sir, for being here with us.
Larry, what's good?
Larry D.
I think that's Fish Family. Thanks for dropping by.
Hello, everybody.
Yeah. So, with that being said, you want to take it away,
MB
Steve?
Reef?
Yes, MB Reef. Yes.
Right. You got the homie Mark. Hey, Mark. Zen. Hey, Mandy. Larry. What's up? Link. All right. So that's out the way. Let's get started. It's a conversation, and that's what the people want, man. That's what I want. I know that's what Jorge wants. Let's talk about the basics first. Where you from? What got you started? What kind of kid was you? You know, was you out there catching shit, getting dirty? Like, give us that, and then go into how that makes it special, what you do now as a grown-ass man that hasn't grown up.
Yeah. So I'm born and raised in upstate New York. I've always been an outdoors kid. Spending most of my time outside and getting hurt and getting dirty and chasing after wild animals and stuff. So, it's always been, nature's always been a part of my life. And I've had aquariums since I was 16. I'm 38 now, so I've been in the hobby 22 years. Give or take a little. And so it's just why it's always been a big part of my life.
That's what's up. So you say you're chasing wild animals. What y'all got in upstate New York?
Oh, I for a couple of years I lived out in Fonda in the town of Glen, which is all farm country, and we had 50 acres of land, and I'd go to school, come home from school, and spend the rest of the day out in the woods or out on the quad or the three-wheeler, and just out there chasing rabbits and birds and following deer around and stuff, and we had 2 ponds and a creek on our property. Like the creek ran along the side of our property, and then we had 2 stock ponds. And I was always out there catching bluegills and bass in the ponds and playing with little minnows and crayfish and stuff in the creek and everything. So
that's what's up. I did that. That's why I was laughing. You just grew up country. You was outside playing.
Yeah.
The toys are different. Trees and shit, rabbit, possums and shit.
Yeah.
That's what's up. So when did it change, right? When did it go from catching bluegill and minnows out the creek or whatever to, man, This is interesting. This is, this species. This is a Lepomis gibosus. This is, what is it? Microptis salamoides, or the smallmouth Microptis doylemoides. I can't say that, but the one with the D, that's some bitch
Yeah.
there. Like, when did that happen?
So I mean, it was probably around when I was 16, 17 when I started keeping fish, and it became a big interest to me, and I was never, for the longest time, it was more of like, all these guys are all really cool
Mm-hmm.
and stuff, and I want to say it was probably about 20, 21, 22 when I started getting really into the hobby.
Mm-hmm.
And I switched over to the saltwater side of stuff, and I was into saltwater aquariums for about 12 years. And I mean, at one point I had my own business. I was importing and selling live corals and live saltwater fish, and doing setups and maintenances for people's aquariums and stuff. And that's when it really became something more than just a hobby. And I mean, at one point I had about 2,000 gallons worth of frag tanks and grow out tanks for coral frags and coral colonies and live saltwater fish and stuff like that. So that's when I really started doing my research and everything on proper husbandry and everything like that. So
Gotcha. So now that's a huge jump going from the reef side to doing biotopes. And the biggest question looming in my head, and I'm sure everybody else want to know too, is the transition of getting into the hobby when you were in your late teens, then going into saltwater, being an
yep.
entrepreneur in aquaculture on the saltwater side, and then going to keeping tanks with algae and mud and detritus and shit in them on purpose in your house for free.
Yeah.
So how did you make that transition to where you got from it's got to be this way, it's got to be right, the parameters, nitrites, algae bad, to, man, leave
Yeah.
that shit in there? Like, how did you go to that? I'm being serious, bro. This is a candid
Well,
conversation. You on Fish Plant Sea Mouse, baby.
well, so like I said, I was in the saltwater hobby for about 12 years, and it got really big. It started as a hobby, and then I started selling frags on the internet as my stuff started to grow out, and I realized the potential there to make money off of it and still do something I loved, and in turn fuel my hobby more with the extra funds that were coming in from doing that. And so that turned into what it was. But then after a couple years, I had a very sudden change in living situation. Like I had a girlfriend that lived with me at the time, and I came home and she was gone, and all of her stuff was gone, and I couldn't afford the rent really by myself because it was a big apartment and it was expensive. So,
Yeah.
but I had to I decided to move from that apartment to a place closer to where I was working, because I worked about an hour away from where I lived at the time. So I was like, I got to move. I'm going to move closer to work and everything. And just the logistics of trying to move, over 2,000 gallons worth of aquariums and, $120,000 worth of livestock and shit. It was not really feasible.
Preach.
So
Bro,
I
COVID
ended up,
got me. COVID
yeah,
got me, bro. That shit
yeah.
hurt too. Holy shit.
So
I was in there crying in between video takes, boy.
So I ended up getting out of the hobby for about 3 years, 4 years, because I had to sell everything off, and I mean, I lost so much money selling everything. It was crazy. Like
Yeah.
I had a 265 gallon mixed brief tank that I had. Between the livestock and the setup itself, I had about 65 grand invested into that aquarium alone. And I ended up selling. I parted it out. I sold all the livestock, separate, and then sold the rest of the setup separate. But
Yeah.
I ended up getting $3,200 for that whole setup when
Holy
when I had about 60 grand invested into it. So it was a big
shit.
loss.
Did you have more weight on the livestock end or on the equipment end? And for y'all, it does matter because equipment is equipment. You can kind of eat that livestock once you baby it. And which one?
Yeah. So I had more money invested into the livestock. I mean, I had colonies of corals that were the size of dinner plates that were worth, $6,500 if I were to cut it up and sell them individually and stuff.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And I got I sold the livestock for 1,600 and the rest of the setup for 1,600.
That's how it be too. And it's just you don't want to put it on the curb,
Yeah.
and you want to get something for it because you got to go when you got to go.
Yeah, and just that massive loss that I took there, just kind of pushed me out of the hobby for a couple years.
Yeah.
And then getting back into it, fish keeping's always been a passion of mine. So I wanted to get back into it, and then I decided the route that I wanted to take was North American biotopes because I also decided that I want to pursue a career in environmental conservation and protecting some of our native species. And I thought a good way to do that was to showcase our North American native fish in their natural habitats and show people some of the beautiful fish that we have in our own backyards that everybody just kind of overlooks, and try to teach why it's important to preserve those habitats and stuff.
That's awesome. Jorge, you look like you was finna say something.
Yeah, no, and
I'm curious.
Well, what I was just gonna add to that, and then this is something that doesn't get talked about very much. That side of the hobby is seldom do we ever get a return on anything that we invest on.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
it's one of those things that is so, it's a bitter pill to swallow, because I don't know how many times I see people that are, for some reason or another, having to get out. They've invested, in some cases, thousands of dollars, like Keni, but you will never be able to get not even half of what you
it ain't a
invested.
house, y'all. You ain't getting no equity, baby. I'm sorry.
It's like
and,
owning a boat.
That's when the vultures swoop in too. Like who your friends is when adversity strike, because they just swoop in, bruh. And it's like,
and the reason I said it.
My 265 gallon tank, I had a $1,200 gem tang in there. I had a show size purple tang. I had a Red Sea sailfin tang, yellow tang.
oh Lord,
I had some really nice clownfish.
Just that Red Sea alone, bro.
Yeah.
Oof. Yeah. Don't even get into the coral and the. Now, did you jump out the hobby before or after the Zoa craze took off again about around like 2008-ish?
Oh, I was in the hobby in the Zoa craze, man. I had a lot, like zoanthids were one of the
like
corals
Rastaman, cornbread, and all that kind of nonsense.
Yeah, and a lot of my corals were either from Jason Fox or cornbread, and so I had like the original CB Bowsers. I had
you had the Bowsers, the OG ones.
I had the OG ones. I had a colony of 9. Bro, I had a colony of almost 100 polyps at one time, and they were going, when I was at like the peak when I was selling those, they were like $350 a polyp.
Man,
and I mean, I had Krakatoa gods, I had hallucinations, Adonis polyps, everything. Like everything. I had all those high end shits, man.
This is dope because this goes to something me and Jorge talk about all the time. Set your expectations accordingly.
Yeah.
Manage your expectations. set your purpose, know your purpose, and out of all of it, the most important thing is know and understand your limitations, because oftentimes, because of social media, the importance is, as creators, us, right? We
Yeah.
have to be ethical when we making videos, because everybody don't have the same level of discernment, but some people have more money than other people do, but they might not necessarily have that discernment. I think discernment comes with being broke. So, so like after you
Yeah.
lose money, you get smart real quick and you understand your limitations. So
Yeah.
I'm laughing because I cried already. That shit happened to me, damn it. Number one. Number two, I recognize what you going through, and it's really valuable to have somebody come up here and be able to say blow by blow in the field, hey, this shit happened to me. Not only, am I a victim, but I'm a survivor, you know.
Yeah.
So being able to paint these pictures in this tapestry that we're trying to web with this series, it's good to have examples that you can go back to. So I'm glad that you are, ballsy enough to share this with us openly, because a lot of people like to get on the internet and cap. They don't want to talk about the whole thing. They just want to cherry pick the good stuff. Like we don't see this YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
We got eyes. I appreciate
Yeah.
that. But go ahead. Jorge, you was finna say something, bro.
Oh no, this is going back. I know, and it was something that Mandy had pointed out, because I'm starting to find out Kenny's a good old Renaissance man. Cause
Yeah, you're an artist. Damn it.
yeah, that's okay. We heard the story of the fish keeping. When do you discover your ability that you also have that artistic side?
Yeah.
Oh, I mean, shit. When I was in 5th grade, I had one of my, I had a piece of art that I had drawn for like one of the art contests, like the school art contests and shit. And it was like, it was good enough to make like the front page of the newspaper at the time and stuff. Like,
Damn.
so, I mean, I've always been an artist my whole life.
You 85 models. Check this out. You're 38.
Yep.
That's 11. You're an angel this year. That's an angel number. This
Yeah.
morning we had Stella on. I ain't trying to throw you out there like this, Stella, but we asked. Stella's an angel too this year. Y'all are both like above average when it comes to brilliancy on the creative side. So it's dope to be able to like profile people in a good way, like, bro, all this shit match. It's not a coincidence. And it's
Oh yeah.
about giving people their flowers, because I talk a lot of shit, but it come from love, because there's too many charlatans out there, man. Meanwhile, back at the ranch, the folks are the folks that's really good at shit. We humble though, and we busy,
Oh,
and we antisocial. We ain't getting no love. We ain't getting no flowers. So it's good to, bro, talk your shit. Be a Renaissance man. That's
and
dope.
so I had that, the newspaper thing when I was in 5th grade, and then again, I've been an artist my whole life, and what was it? Probably say about 5 or 6 years ago now. I did 2 art gallery shows. I did one in Hudson Falls, New York,
Oh, shit.
and then I did a pop-up art gallery showing for raw artists in Brooklyn, New York. And those were
What's
both
up?
really good. Like the one in Brooklyn, I brought 36 pieces of art with me and sold all of them in the one night. And the one in Hudson Falls, I sold almost all of the artwork that I had brought with me. So
So what kind of artwork
What's your
do you do?
inspiration? Like, what's your
Yeah, I was-
style? If you want to elaborate on that for the people.
my my inspiration for what I do now, or what I've done recently in the past and stuff, is well, I guess it's more so. All right, so a lot of my artwork that I've done within the last couple of years has all been done on like the tail end of hallucination like trips and
You like
stuff.
Salvador Dali?
I do. Yep.
Hell yeah.
But so what I do now is I've recently in the past couple years gotten into acrylic pour paintings, where you basically take a bunch of different colors of acrylic paint, you mix them in a cup. Well, you don't mix them, you pour them into a cup, and you kind of do layers, and then you spread it on the canvas and let it do its thing. Well, I take it a step further, and after those dry and cure, I'll go back in and I'll either um, paint or draw something completely random over top of it, or
Uh-huh.
I'll spend, hours and hours going through and highlighting little things in the paintings that I see,
Yeah.
like,
That's
let
dope.
it speak to me basically, and start pulling that stuff out of the artwork itself.
You ever
And
thought
Have you
about
posted?
hydro dipping one after it dries?
Yep, I've done
Have you
hydro
posted
dipping.
any of these pieces?
Yeah.
Maybe I can go dig them up while we talk.
I tried
Yeah,
to a while ago. I
uh,
just seen fish.
I don't know who's in chat right now, but somebody can probably drop my Instagram link.
Oh, you have them on Instagram? Let me go. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
take a dig.
so it's not my ABC Instagram. It's
Oh, okay.
Beyond.
That's why.
What is it
What
called?
is it?
My art page is called Beyond the Mind's Eye,
Okay, let me see if I can
That's
find
and there's
it.
you?
like yeah,
Fool, I've been following your ass anyway and didn't even know, bruh. I'll be damned. That's cool, bro. Hold on, I'll pull it up.
Oh, were you serious? Oh, that's right. There it
That's
is.
crazy as shit.
All right,
That's crazy.
let me see. Oh, I need to give that a follow.
you should see
And
some. There's another one that's kind of almost the same name, but you should see like pictures of me in some of the Instagram.
there we go. Let me. And you're not shy about being in front of the camera either, huh, Kenny?
Oh yeah, just a warning there.
Yeah, but I think I got past it. So this is kind of like some of the pieces that you were talking about doing.
Yeah,
This
and
is
then
not.
a
This is
lot
not
of
the. Sorry.
yeah, a lot of my artwork revolves around sacred geometry and stuff like that. So
Man, where's the one of you with the elephant? That's the one I was tripping on. You did one with an elephant. Let me see if I can find it.
like the one with the glow, the black light
Yeah,
one.
dude, it's got the elephant did a bendy in a sacred geometry thing inside the elephant.
Yeah.
Let me
That's a
see.
little further down, I think.
Oh, see, can you find that one, Jorge?
All right.
That is funny. That painting was actually bought by a guy in Belgium.
No shit.
Yeah.
See, it's like after hours, so you good on the language.
Yeah. So I was.
make it
I
sparse.
not
Well,
not only
he's
am
good
I
either
like
way because it's never stopped you, Steve, in the morning. So
No,
yeah.
I mean,
So I'm
we ain't
officially an
wrong.
international arts dealer.
That's what's up. Now you got to be cool with what you say because they be listening and stuff. They don't, international and dealer. That's all they're gonna hear.
Yeah.
But
Like,
no,
did
that's
you
dope,
say
man.
international orange dealer?
let's see if I got the right one. I mean,
If it's an elephant, this it.
yeah.
Unless
Yeah,
you
I
did
think
more
it
than
is.
one elephant.
Yeah, I've only done one elephant painting.
Is that the one?
That's it,
Yeah.
dude. That's fire, bro. And it's minimal, bro. But at the same time,
Yeah,
like
and that's just acrylic paint, and then it's black and metallic silver Sharpie over top of the acrylic paint.
that's disco biscuits all day, bro. That elephant will start looking at you
Yeah,
and blinking and like moving his ears and shit. It's doing it now.
So this
Yeah,
is
and
more of the. This is more. This one kind of draws me.
yep.
So, I mean,
Bruh.
you have quite a lot of pieces on here.
Yeah.
Just let me. I mean, this one's pretty neat too. How the image kind of comes in through the.
And wouldn't have knew. Nobody wouldn't have knew.
Yeah.
Well, that's not true because Mandy knew.
Yeah,
And if
there's some
Mandy knows,
people, there's some fish fam that own some of my artwork.
I'm talking like the way that people know you for doing biotopes.
Yeah,
Most people, like right now, just found out you do art.
that the one in the middle there with the koi fish, that's
Yeah,
a nice one that I like too. Like if you don't really see it, but if you look over off to the right side, there's like a woman's face with her eye closed
right
and
here.
she's got the
yeah, I see
lotus
it. It's at the
flower in her
bottom.
hair. Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's I forget what I call that, reflection or something, a reflecting pond or something.
Let me
bro,
see.
you got a
You
lot of
called it. Oh yeah, reflecting
symbolism
pond
in
says
this
on there.
Yeah.
artwork there. You know, we're gonna have to talk offline because I don't want to attract no weirdos. But yeah, I see a lot of symbolism, bro. I mean, if you know, you know.
Yeah,
Wow.
I mean I've got a piece here hanging up that's got I've got about 70 hours into that art piece and
Is it loaded with symbolism?
oh yeah.
You're gonna have to go ahead and get it.
See,
We will
there's
wait, don't worry.
that right
Somebody
there.
cue the
That's
intermission
me
music.
at the art show in Hudson Falls.
That's
So
dope.
another fun fact, like that one that I did, all of those art pieces were UV reactive, and I also did all of those art pieces with chroma depth 3D glasses.
What?
So you do know if you know
See?
chroma depth
That's
3D or
dope.
chroma depth 3D separates
Ahí hay
color
pollo, eh?
um by temperature. So like
Yep.
warmer colors are closer to you and cooler colors are further in the background. So all of the art pieces I did in that show were reactive in a chroma depth 3D way, and they were also UV reactive. So that was a really fun show to do.
Now, what's your Tommy, white boy Tommy, the homie at Silver Creek? He
Yep.
got him a little artistic. What I'm finding out is all the homies got an artistic little flair to them.
Yeah.
And it's cool because it makes me feel not like a weirdo.
And then you can
Because
see
I
I
like
also
art.
do photography.
Let me see what happened because it quit.
Hey Kenny, do you mind getting that painting you spoke of here a
No.
second ago with
What
all
I'll
those?
do
I
is
mean, you might as well show it.
I'll bring you guys to it. So hold on a second. Let me.
Even better. A mosquito bit me, y'all. So that's why I keep I got it though. That's why I was smiling. Yeah. She was fat. She tagged me like 4 times. She was loaded, but you ain't
got it
laying no eggs. Suckies.
Oh, why is it doing that? Oh, never mind. There we go.
Oh, see, Mandy want to see it too.
I don't know what's going on with my Instagram, but it's giving me a hard time. Let me figure this out.
I got
That's
you.
his.
Don't
That's
even
his.
trip.
Yeah, I'm gonna leave his channel up for right now. Let me see if I can get his Instagram back up. I don't know.
Got you.
I think it's me that's having issues because I've been on my phone having trouble with my Instagram.
How's that? In the meantime.
Yep. Oh, you have his page open?
Yeah, I told you I followed
perfect.
him. I didn't even know it was him. I didn't deep dive this. I just clicked on a few I liked.
I'm back.
I didn't know this was him. All right.
All right, we got to get that. Let me make him a big image on that. Oh, wait up. I am having. Nope, wrong one.
I got you, Jorge. Don't trip.
There you go.
Bro. All right, be still. Hold on. Oh my God. Boy. Go. Oh my.
So this is what is it? 16 by 24.
Yeah.
But like, there's me in the middle. And then it's like the devil behind me.
This
And like
motherfucker chunking out the Baphomet, bro.
Egyptian gods, and then
Ooh.
Christianity in the background of the Egyptian gods and stuff.
That's Horus, dude.
Yeah,
Whoa.
this is a psilocybin molecule.
Yeah, man. Dude, I knew it was loaded with disco biscuits. I was finna say, bruh, what kind of disco biscuit you was on?
Yeah, well, so there's me in the middle as the, offering truth and guidance through psychedelics,
Right.
basically, is what this is, to combat the corruption of everyday life, which, the devil represents the corruption, and he's opening the jar here,
Right.
which, it comes out the smoke, and then in the smoke is
See,
all
you
the
not chunking up
corruption.
no Baphomet. You're just pointing up.
Yeah.
And then bro. You gotta send me like a screenshot of this so I can spaz on it and not look like a damn fool on the
And then, so I've got
internet.
6 arms, 3 on each side, but I'm holding a tree right here, and in the root of the tree is a DMT molecule, and then sprinkling stuff onto the brain, which is opening up the pineal gland and protecting the baby down here, and LSD molecules. There's the beast over here, which is really a nice guy, and the lotus flower, the
And the
DNA
DNA.
strand, the butterfly, the galaxy, a fucking nuclear reactor with you could see the size of some of the detail in this, like
Yeah, the plane, dude. Are you
the
serious right
plane
now?
with the chemtrails.
Yeah, dude. Bruh.
These guys fighting here. This guy over here recording it with his Facebook app open on his phone, and he's dropping pills, and this hand's grabbing money.
And the skull
The
of the
skull
toxic
here
fumes.
with the RX in his eyes, if you look at it right.
Yeah, dude. Why the homie fighting look like Jesus, bruh? Really, bro? Is that a stone in his hand?
Yeah.
What? Wow. Bruh. We gonna talk after. Come on, man. We gonna get back on these fish.
Mushrooms and Amanita muscaria and psilocybin molecules and everything floating around the whole thing, and little skulls in the bubbles and stuff.
Bro, once I saw the sacred soma on there, I already knew what time it was.
Yeah. So much detail.
Yeah. That is like, yeah. Shit.
And then I got
that's like an hour worth of picture looking. I like that too. That's dope.
Like a woman turning into a tree. Then there's like there's a guy down here and all mushrooms and stuff, and then there's a skull over here. Like all in the highlights and stuff in the picture itself.
And why did you pick the hibiscus flower?
That's just what a lot of the gold splatter that was coming out in the painting looked like hibiscus. Like that's all you see, the gold behind it or in it. That's just what it reminded me of. So that was like, this is a woman turning into a tree with hibiscus flowers. And
man, that's dope. See, I like the subjectivity of art. And this is a good way to segue into how you were able to see that in nature, then turn around and depict it in your biotopes, the way you present them, because believe it or not, it is art, but it goes back to that subjectivity of a monotype aquascape versus these naturalistic biotopes versus even a international biotope competition style. Aquarium.
I won second place in an aquascape. This is it needs to be topped off, but this is my second place aquascape.
It's so simple, bro. A little undercut gravel bank with some riparian plants. That's nice, bro.
Yeah.
We'll let you get back set up.
All right.
And in the meantime, so while he's setting up, y'all, we're gonna get ready to dive into the fish topic. And I do want to focus on the art because me and Jorge have a lot of conversations about perspective. And one of the big questions I asked Jorge like a bunch of times, I'd be like, bro, do you think where you from got something to do with how you interpret what beauty is? Like, you from the desert, and I noticed that all your tanks, how you set them up, it's off of what you see, and it's subliminal. Cause I'll be roasting, I'll be like, bitch, you sitting there talking all that about aquascaping, and you an aquascaper and don't even know it. You're like, nah, bro, I just threw some shit in there that look good, and I just tweak with it till it don't
That's
bother
all
me
part
no
of
more.
aquascaping.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, I was like, okay, cool. So me, I'm from Southeast Texas. I'm from Houston. We got trees, swamps, crackheads, pit bulls, shit like that. You know, it's a different lay of the
Used to
land. It's
breed
the
pit
Bayou
bulls.
City. You know, I love them. And so, like you being from Northeast, is what you see, obviously, but does it reflect in your artwork? Does it reflect in your tanks?
It definitely reflects in my tanks right now. Considering that all of my tanks are native biotope. Well, a majority of my display tanks are native biotopes because I've got display tanks and I've got tanks in the other room that are for breeding and raising fry and stuff. And
Okay.
most of those are just, bare bottom or minimal aquascaping. But my biotopes are all actually I'm pretty sure they're all East Coast biotopes. Not necessarily Northeast because this 25 gallon behind me right here is a Georgia swamp biotope.
Okay.
But then I've got like my Lake Champlain, which is New York and Vermont, and then my Smith River biotope, which is a stream tank. That's Virginia.
Virginia.
Yeah. And then I've got an Atlantic coast biotope, which needs to be cleaned. It's got a lot of algae and shit on the glass right
That's
now.
the one with the mummy chogs, right?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. So
but yeah.
see, so I gotta kind of spill the beans because for me, like Georgia always be like, I'm learning too. It's kind of selfish reasons we got you on the show because shit, I want to learn. Well, for me, part of reaching out and like this is my way of being social, man. Let's have a conversation. Let's bring you up. So
Yeah.
part of doing that and reaching out across to see how different people doing it is because I want to see through y'all's eyes how y'all moving. Like, how does nature inspire you where you from? Like we had Curtis on, so it's cool to see how they tanking over there in Kansas. I know Larry from Ohio, and Ohio kind of has a lot to do with us doing this series too, because Palestine happened. Yeah, that one, the one everybody forgot about,
Yep.
and all those damn fish died. And every time I bring it up, I'm gonna keep saying it. It hurt to see those fish dead because I knew what they were.
Yeah.
It'd have been different if it was just some random sardine looking shit from like a red tide or something. It sucks too, but it's nature doing what it do. It's a reaction, it's a response. But that was a fuck up, for a lack of a better way to say it, and a bunch of stuff died. So to be able to see it and know what it was different. So I wanted to touch people, and I wanted people to have that same thing like I do, to when they see some fish in a ditch, it's important, it's special. It resonates the same way that Pterophyllum scalari, anybody that you can show that shit to anybody, and they know that, oh shit, that's an angelfish. They know. Or you could show somebody a plecostomus, a normal one, and they, oh shit, that's an algae eater. That's a suckerfish. They know. So how is it that we can attach this sentiment and love to these things, which ain't nothing wrong with that, but I want to be the conduit to bring it to the home front. Love what we got too.
And
And
that's what I'm trying to do as
yeah,
well.
take the stigma away of it, you know? Get it out of the cool kids club and say, hey, this here is user friendly. If you got a ditch, bitch, you in. You good. Like, you don't have to be part of the cool kids club and know people and worry about laws and stuff. Everybody can't have an arowana or a stingray, but it's ditches outside. Go get you some gambusia. There's
Yeah, that's
different
why
ones everywhere you go.
I say I'm not part of the cool kids club. I'm part of the cool tanks club because all my tanks are cold water.
So speaking of tanks, do you want to get into some of your biotopes? And let's talk about your first one. Let's talk about the first wild fish you caught coming from the setback from the saltwater side. And or did the two like muddle together while you were reefing? Were you playing around with it a little bit, or was it completely boom, 3 years break, hiatus, and then you got
Oh yeah.
into wild stuff?
Well, it was a complete break for a while because, like I said, I had moved like an hour north from where I was living. I moved an hour north and like you know, was living in a small apartment, which was great because I loved the apartment and stuff, but there was no room for aquariums. And after I'd lost, you know, an enormous amount of money in the transition and stuff, I didn't really have an interest to set up another tank right away, especially a saltwater tank. So, but then, you know, I there was a very interesting 3 years of my life because, you know, I also during that period of time I moved to Scotland. I lived in Scotland for 8 months and stuff, and then came back from Scotland and everything. And it wasn't until about, I'd say about 3 years ago is about when I got back into the hobby. So that loss, you know, that I took was only about 6 years ago.
Damn.
So yeah, it's been about 3 years that I've been back in the hobby. And the first aquarium that I set up was the 1.0 version of the stream tank that you guys have, you know, a lot of people have seen my stream tank. And it's also that was the first video I posted on my YouTube channel, and that's where my channel had started from. And I think the first fish that I had put in that aquarium were spot fin shiners and rainbow darters. And the rainbow darters were an interesting addition because where I caught them is actually about 300 to 350 miles outside of their native, like their cataloged native range. So they've never been caught and you know, registered in that area before. So that was some pretty interesting find. And I actually submitted the data to fishmaps.org and NANFA and stuff, and so it you know, it updated their system a bit.
See, that's a good thing you bring up. We've had a couple people. Mark was up, and he found a few species that weren't where they were supposed to be. Hell, I found Amazon mollies and short fin mollies, and come to find out, they've moved up their prior native range for the last index was South Texas. So bringing up points like this is good inspiration. This is another reason to get out there and go see stuff because things change.
Yeah, and this is the build video for my stream tank because I don't know if a lot of people know it, but I actually built that whole tank myself and you know, cut the glass and everything for it. So
Mm-hmm. So if you want to go over the specs of that tank, and as you're doing that, what even made you get the idea to say, hell, I want to do a stream tank? Well, what if I could make a stream? Like what inspired this?
so I was trying to think of a better way to do like there is there's what's called a river manifold
Mm-hmm.
system. It's for setting up river tanks or stream tanks. It's basically a bunch of PVC baffles and pipes underneath your substrate with
Mm-hmm.
two power heads on one side creating the flow while they're hooked up to the PVC, and it draws the water from the other side of the tank. And the problem with that is it creates a lot of dead spots because of the
Mm-hmm.
limitations of the PVC pipe. Well, I was like, you know what? You know, I want to do my own version of that and try to eliminate the dead spots. And that's where I came up with the false bottom, uh, like the false bottom design, where I have the actual bottom of the aquascaping is raised 2 inches off the bottom of the aquarium, and you can see in some of these videos here, there's a 4 inch gap on
Mm-hmm.
either side of the aquascaping with the where the risers are right there, the glass risers on the side. There's a 4 inch gap there.
Mm-hmm.
So in the false bottom is a Jabo CP 180, which is a crossflow pump,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of like a budget version of the max spec gyres that you see in the saltwater hobby
Right.
and stuff. But it's basically a linear crossflow pump. It's got auger style impellers instead of actual impellers,
Right.
and but it like that pump creates a tremendous amount of flow. Like on high, I think it's 9,200 gallons an hour that it pumps, and
That's
so
insane.
there's an insane amount of flow in that tank. But that was basically the idea is, you know, trying to reinvent the whole river manifold system
Okay.
to better produce to produce a better no, excuse me, to produce a better uh linear flow in the tank without creating too many dead spots and stuff where, you know, shit's gonna accumulate.
Okay. So now let me ask you something. When you go into, so we discussed the technical aspects of this bill, and
Yep.
this is a for this bill specifically, but all of the bills that you do, when you go in to do the decor, your hardscape, your substrate, etc.,
Yeah.
how much of that is art versus research? And to kind of clarify, like I'll sit on the tank forever over something stupid like, is this rock consistent with that biome? Like, is it
Well,
volcanic?
yeah.
Is it sedimentary? Like that. So how much of it, how much research do you do? How much nitpicking versus just
Uh,
art?
I've gotten a lot like the first rendition of the stream tank was less nitpick than 2.0 of it,
Mm-hmm.
but every just about everything except for the sand itself was collected from the stream that I was recreating.
Okay.
And that's actually where I had caught the spot fin shiners and rainbow shiners. It was you know, it's about 15 minutes from my house. It's a little rifle area of a stream that connects to, you know, right at the mouth of a river, of the Mohawk River and stuff. So, you know, all of the rock work and driftwood and stuff had been collected from that area, and some of the Vallisneria americana was collected further up the stream, and
Hmm.
stuff like that. So it was like but now doing a biotope, I do a lot more research into like soil consistency, colors, composition, what type of stones there, what type of terrestrial plants are in the area where you might find leaves of those trees and stuff in the water, or that type of driftwood and stuff in there. So I don't focus too much on pH
Mm-hmm.
or like the most of the numbers game. Like I don't really play the numbers game because I know fish adjust to pH,
Yeah.
and hardness and stuff like that is a little more tricky with some of your plants, but fish will adjust to different pHs as long as you acclimate them slowly and transition them properly and stuff. So pH I don't really focus on when I'm doing research and stuff like that, but everything else is pretty spot
Yeah, I
on.
mean, unless you're trying to do something specific like breed,
Yeah,
or if you're trying to keep a uber niche species
yeah,
of like some of those ones like in Jersey and the Pine Barrens, that water is black. It's
oh
acid
yeah,
acid water. So I mean, aside from that, general husbandry and maintenance is more than adequate. I mean, these fish are pretty damn tough. They're pretty
yeah.
resilient. So,
But again, I
oh, go
try
ahead.
to I try to recreate the habitat that the fish are found in the wild. So, the Georgia swamp behind me is a blackwater swamp, so it does have some tannins in there and
Uh-huh.
stuff that come out naturally from the wood. Sorry, I saw my bowfin was out
Yeah, I was
behind
like,
me.
that's a bowfin, bro. Yeah.
He doesn't come
Is
out
that a
too
female?
often. It's a male.
It's a male?
Yeah. Yeah, the difference between the males and the females is the males have the orange spot on their tails and females
The
don't.
tail, yeah. I saw that spot.
Yeah.
Um, so were you talking about the different soils, the different uh substrate, etc. When you're doing research on the biotope part itself, what tools do you use? What resources do you use to resource? Or is it more just observation and recreation?
It's mostly observation and recreation. I do try to research a lot of like I try to find online sources if I can't go to the place. Like
Mm,
but I mean, Google's your best friend when you're trying to do research, I guess. But as far as
yeah.
like some of the other biotopes, like the Smith River biotope, like all of the fish in there, I actually collected myself from the Smith River, and I've got a lot of video footage from when I was down there. I brought test kits with me, notebook. I've got the digital thermometer, like the point and shoot ones,
Mm-hmm.
that I bring with me. That's part of my fishing bag, along with a little notebook and a basic test kit and stuff. And so, stuff like that I do. I'll take notes on, what color is the soil? Is it primarily sand? Is it fine sand? Is it larger grain sand? Is it silt? Is it all rocky? Is it a mix? Whatever. What
Right.
kind of plants are in the area? I take a lot of pictures and stuff. So, that's all part of researching the biotopes is just, if you can go there and just gather as much information as you can. Otherwise, you can usually find online resources pretty helpful.
No, that's actually pretty a good scientific method, and something that does not get me. I think you're the first one. The heat gun, taking the temperature of the surroundings and the water of
Yep.
where you collected those fish. And then you can kind of, you know, put in the context, well, it's 1:30, it's heat of the day, or it just rained or whatever. But that's a good metric to record.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's why I figure, you know, the thermometer is a pretty important part of my collection backpack and stuff. And you know, I've also got like the little acrylic. They're basically acrylic Q-tip holders,
Mm-hmm.
but that's what I use as like a photo box for taking pictures of, you know, some of the small fish and stuff. It's just a clear acrylic box with a little flappy lid. I think I've got one of them. So yeah, I've got one right
That's
here.
what I use.
This right here.
Oh yeah, that's awesome.
And it's just like a Q-tip holder. But I use this as a photo box. Um, and then like I said, just a basic. Uh, I've got SJ. What are they? SJ Wave test strips in my backpack,
Mm-hmm.
and those measure KH, pH, GH, nitrates, ammonia, nitrites, and chlorine. I think.
Yeah, that's them.
Yep.
And you're taking these samples on
Yep.
site at the
Yeah, I
collection site.
take them on site, and I've got a little field notebook and um just taking notes of, like I said, the note, you know, marking down all the parameters, the temperature, time of day, you know, where are the fish hiding, where did I catch the fish, what parts of the, you know, were they in slack water, were they in fast current,
Mhm.
stuff like that. So
Okay, so let's get talk about some of the species you've kept and how you catch them, because we've had people uh, they use seine nets, traps, dip nets. We've had a few people talking about micro fishing with hook and line. So, what's your go-to method, and what works for you the best?
uh I do all of the above. I microfish. I've got a seine net. I've got a couple different minnow traps. I've got 3 dip nets. So my go-to though is either microfishing or dip net. I think those are the two that I've always got like in my bag. I've got a fold up dip net, and then I've got one of the perfect dip nets from Jonah's Aquarium,
Mm-hmm.
and so that those are my go-tos. But I also like I have my minnow trap in my car all the time. It's always in my trunk.
Mm-hmm.
So
Me too.
Uh, I know that you do collections throughout the East Coast, but do you concern yourself with trying to find out what type of equipment you can use in certain areas, or you just go for it and say, if they catch me, they catch me?
no, I make sure what I'm doing is legal in the area that I'm doing it.
No, it's funny because it's true. You can get jammed up getting minnows out the ditch, believe it or not.
Yeah, you
Depending,
can.
I mean, you could be in a
And
nursery, you could be in anything like that.
you got to be careful too, because like the most important thing about collecting is know what you're collecting. All right, don't collect anything without a positive ID first, because there's so many endangered species of fish that, you know, are only endemic to one certain location of this certain stream, and that stream might happen to be in your backyard and you don't know it,
Yeah,
or
that's
there
funny.
happens to be like um some of those fish in that area and it's not known, and there's pretty hefty fines that come along with keeping fish illegally in most states.
Kenny, what resource do you use to identify these fish? If somebody's interested in going out there, do you have any resources you would recommend that they can go check out so that they're making sure that what they're pulling out is something they can keep?
Yeah, so one of my main resources that I use is Peterson's Field Guide to North American Fish.
That's me. That's what
um,
I use.
I use that. But then I also use fishmap.org, which is a NANFA site. NANFA is the North American Native Fish Association. So that site is run by NANFA. But with fishmap.org, you can actually put in your zip code or the zip code or area code of any potential collection sites that you want to go to, and you can even break it down to watershed, whatever, and it'll bring
Mhm.
up a list of everything that's in that watershed potentially, and where it's been caught in the past and when it was caught there, and the status of the fish currently, like is it endangered, is it of least concern, stuff like that.
Mhm.
So it's important to be aware of what is endangered, and just generally be aware of what you're collecting when you're collecting it.
Have you played around with iNaturalist? Because a
I
few
have,
people
but
brought that up.
it's my
I
belief
just
that
started going.
iNaturalist is more for herping, isn't it?
Oh, it's got everything on there. It's any animal, and
Okay.
it's so cool. I was playing on there the other day. Mark suggested it on the show first, and I was playing
Yep.
on there. There's people in my neighborhood posting
Yeah.
random stuff of like moths and hey, what's this bug? And it's so cool to see that people are really involved, and
Yeah.
things like this could kind of take off
I
because
haven't checked out
social media.
iNaturalist too much.
Yeah, like I had no idea. People right here in the hood. It's like, bro, it's nerds. Like houses down the street from me posting different like bugs and frogs and shit, and I'm like, bro, it's nerds right here, right here. See, so I mean, come on, like right here,
So
bro. We might be able
comment
to
on it.
hang
Like,
out.
bro, hit me up if you want to go out collecting.
Yeah,
I live
for
up the
real.
street from you.
You know, like you smoke? Hell yeah, let's go. So, but back to it though. We were talking about the species and identification.
Yep.
I had posted that video of me being like super excited when I caught this the pipefish. It's Signatus texana. So we
Yeah.
got 3 of them here that we can get in our watershed. But talking about number one,
I
trying
might
to
need you
be
to send me some of those.
yeah, I know, right? We'll talk. Least invasive as possible.
Yep.
Not going out there fucking up nature. I was trying to find a good way to say it, but treating nature like your photo op,
Yeah.
trampling everything, catching a bunch of stuff just to get the photo op, killing half of it, not taking none home, or taking something home you ain't had no business taking home,
Yeah.
getting the shoot, the pictures and then killing.
Yeah.
So the ethical part of that, if you want to elaborate on that, please.
Yeah. So I mean, you pretty much touched base on it, but just there's another thing that's a pretty integral part of my collection backpack, and that is trash bags. Um, because I anytime I'm going out somewhere, I always bring out more stuff than I've brought in. Like
Right.
I'm so like it's so heartbreaking to see trash in the streams and stuff, and it's like that's so I collect as much as I can and
Mm-hmm.
and bring it out, and I'll throw it out. A lot of the parks and stuff that I go to have trash cans right there in the park. It's like you know, but so you know
Yeah.
cleaning up after yourself is important, and disturbing the habitat as little as possible is important, because a lot of a lot of those fish are reliant on aquatic insects as a food source, and when you're disturbing rock piles and stuff,
Mm-hmm.
you're disturbing the where the aquatic insects are breeding and living, and potentially harming a food source for the fish and stuff. So like you see the people who will go down to the river and stack rocks and do like the rock stacks and stuff like that. And like,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it's cool. Maybe you think it's cool, but you're effectively eliminating potential habitats for aquatic insects that are going to feed the fish, or that, you know, some fry fish might be dependent on. And now that, you know, those fry aren't going to have that food source and potentially not make it and stuff. So it's important to try to have as little impact on the environment as possible.
So this is a good one. Like, we're in this topic. We're talking about ethics. We're talking about taking care of nature. Let's talk about taking care of yourself. What do you do when you go out there to make sure that you're safe, you're healthy, that you don't end up in danger or, you know, in the hospital or something because you hurt yourself? And I say this because with the rise of social media and the fact that we are trying to force shape, we're trying to shape. We want people out there. It's responsibility on my behalf, Jorge, you, to talk about the ethical ramifications of knowing your surroundings and understanding that you're not Bear Grylls. Us country boys, we can go out there and do all that shit and not get dirty doing it because we know what we're doing.
And that's the thing, is you have to be aware of your surroundings. You know, don't go trampling through a creek that, you know, all of the rocks are full of slime algae and stuff, and you're in tennis shoes and it's fast flowing water. You know, you're gonna end up on your ass, or, you know, worse. You know, so be aware of your surroundings, and just don't take unnecessary risks. Like, that's all it comes down to, really.
Jorge?
No, I think that's one of the things that is important. Is if I and this is just coming from experience. And when I go out, I personally make it a point, because I have this unnatural fear of snakes that, you know, I'm always thinking I'm going to find snakes in places that, you know, make no sense. But that's just my phobia. But
Well,
anyways,
I've got 17 snakes, just so you know.
Yeah, I like snakes too.
Yeah, I know everybody seems to like them except for me. And but it's true. I mean, one of the things that I am very conscious of is trying to watch where I'm going, where I'm stepping, because if you're going out to some of these remote places, something happens to you, it's going to be very difficult to be able to flag somebody for help, or sometimes you just don't have cell reception because you happen to be in a gully or little valley where the signal's not very good. So yes, I think it's important that you do take a lot of these precautionary measures. I think it's also very important that you notify people that you're going out, because if something were to happen and you're not back by an expected time, it gives them, okay, but something must have happened, so let's start trying to get in touch with that, with you or whoever. I think that's part of when you do these things, that you take that into account. It's just so that, you know, it becomes a joyful experience and not one that ends up in tragedy or anything like that.
Another good point too is biointegrity and hygiene. Like, these fish, they live in some gnarly places, and unfortunately, people ain't clean. We trash a lot of the environment. So, like, a lot of places that you go into, you can get sick. I mean, like, they live in gnarly places. And then, like, you live up north, Lyme disease is big up there where y'all live still, yes? Or
Yeah.
it's under control?
Well, that's because Lyme disease came from what's that island right there off of Manhattan?
Don't. Not on this show. I know exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you know what I'm
He
talking
let
about.
him go. He let him go and admitted it. But
All
yeah.
But yeah, Lyme disease is big in the
I don't want to track no weirdos, bro. Shit, we
You
can talk
got one
about
on the
Bigfoot
channel
and
right
all
now.
kind of shit all day. Aliens, bro, that's me, baby. I love it. But no, not on this show. And it's like late too. I mean, Jorge, if you want to entertain it, we can for a little bit. But I was trying to keep it kosher.
Hey, that's what we have in the EMAS at the end of our channel name, because it allows you to talk about everything else. So
I
it's
Fish,
up to you
mean,
plants,
guys. I know you
aquarium,
guys kind of.
alien conspiracies.
there ain't
Oh,
no conspiracy. Plum Island is real.
yeah, there you go. Plum Island. There you go. I
I knew
couldn't think of the
exactly
name.
what you was talking about. It's
Yeah,
real. And that ain't even that ain't there's closer ones than that on the
yeah,
mainland to you.
yeah. I know.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I wanted to ask you, Kenny. So, what? I know that you're doing a lot of the natives and stuff like that, but what is this something since you were keeping fish? I know the conservation part of it, and I understand that. But what attracted you to these minnows and darters? And to be honest, I can see why because of the coloration of these. But where does that where does that start with you?
Um, honestly, at first it was all about the acquisition of the species, like the ease of acquisition without
Okay.
having to fork out a lot of money for them and stuff. And that's where it started out for me, years ago. And it that's it became a refocus when I decided that it was like a path that I wanted to take with like conservation and everything. So
Yeah, because I know some of the colorations that I see from the fish that you've shown. They rival just about any other
yeah,
tropical
and
fish from anywhere.
that's one of my goals is to show people the fish that we have in our backyards and stuff, and show you that, like, this isn't just some minnow or some bait fish. This is a beautiful, lively fish with personality that, like, will rival most of the tropical fish in the hobby. And it's like it's baffling that they're not more prevalent in the hobby than they are now.
Now, is it because of the requirements to keep them? Do you think that's a little bit that plays into it? Like I know from the little information that I have, I'd probably cook most of those fish where I'm at because my
Yep.
temperatures in here can get pretty elevated in the high 80s to low 90s. Do you think that's probably one of the big factors that plays into why they haven't become so popular?
No, I think it's just more about like government regulation and stuff, and like the laws surrounding the collection and keeping of native fish in some states. And it also, it's like the whole, like, you know the draw of, like, oh, these fish are from another country, so they're more interesting versus like the fish that you see in a ditch on the roadside in upstate New York or something, you know. So I think it's got a lot to do with the fact that it's just a fish from another country, and it's interesting and exotic and stuff.
And how difficult has it been for you to breed some of these? Because I know you mentioned you had a whole breeding section. Uh, has it been something pretty much straightforward like other fish, or are you finding they have different nuances to be able to breed these natives?
Um, it, it's not. It's. I mean, for instance, my rainbow shiners that I've bred for a couple years now, 2 years now. The rainbow shiners are really easy to breed. Like, they require a rock pile basically in the aquarium, and they require like an overwintering where the temperatures are dropped and the photo period is shortened, and it's in the spring when they start to spawn, and that's when the temperature in the aquarium starts to, or in the wild, starts to rise, and the photo period starts to lengthen. That's what triggers them into spawning. And it's the same with a lot of the other species of shiners or dace, stuff like that. They're triggered by seasonal changes, um, based on like photo period and water temp and stuff.
So is
So it's
this
been
information that you learned from observation, or are there resources where you were able to learn this information, or is it just trial and error?
for some of the fish there are resources online and stuff. I can't really point any out in general because it's all like independent research stuff. Um, and then in other cases, it's just been trial and error and finding out what works. Whether it's topping off the tank with RODI water for a month and a half to simulate a rainy season and stuff like that, and like increasing the amount of live food that's available for the fish, increasing the amount of algae in the tank for the fish to show them like the fish will know, okay, there's food sources for babies now, so we can
Mm-hmm.
make babies,
Right.
stuff like that. That's all. There's a bunch of different factors that go into different species and triggering them to spawn and stuff, but it's overall it's a pretty easy process for most of them.
Well, I had a question. Kind of going back to something Jorge had asked you earlier about the prevalence of these species in the hobby. And I was listening to that and I was thinking, well, they're free, first of all. So there really wouldn't be a push for something that is easily accessible because that's the number one answer we get when we ask everyone that question. What got you
Yeah.
into it? It's
Is
the
there a
ease.
market
Well,
for
shit,
it?
the ease of access.
Yeah.
So it's 2023. Social media shapes things. We vote with our dollar in America. I have already seen a few brands trying to cater toward Biotope stuff.
Yep.
Now, where they might not be lucrative of an endeavor to say bring up the species, the livestock itself to a scalable, marketable aspect, the accessories and that niche of it is something that companies, these biotech companies, these aquarium pet companies can kind of specialize in some of this niche stuff.
Yeah.
And, you know, I think that right there is the future. I think that's the draw because you can't, you know, I don't see it feasible for somebody to try to breed, you name it to scale. I mean, the Nampa people are doing good. There's fisheries all over the country that are breeding stuff in captivity for the first time to scale. It's awesome. But
Yeah.
that's more for rehabilitation and reintroduction into native habitat, not
Well,
necessarily selling to people for
yeah,
ornamental.
Yeah.
I know.
Well, that's the thing is like
Oh, go ahead.
last year, not this past season, but last year I bred I bred and raised probably close to 1,000 rainbow shiners and
Mm-hmm.
sold sold 98% of them. I think 1% of them ended up in rebreeding stock, and 1% of them ended up as live food for
Right.
some of my predator fish. But
See, like some of those more malleable species like that, like your minnows, your cyprinids, the ones that you
yep,
can breed, those are making a little resurgence in the hobby. Like you see them at retail because it's feasible. It is
yeah,
essentially a pretty minnow. Like you said, you don't need nothing but a pile of marbles in a damn tank for them to breed.
yeah,
So when you start getting into some of these more like nuanced species that you got to do stuff to, you got to manipulate, like that
yeah.
feasibility. Where do you see those species?
Well,
Because
that's
those are going
like
to be the ones too that die first.
right. That's like the blue nose shiner, for instance. Blue nose shiners spawn in lepomis nests. So
Really?
yeah.
Bluegill
So
net.
yep.
Huh.
They so in order to breed those in captivity, you would need to house them with with Lepomis species.
Right.
Because what they in the wild, what blue nose shiners do is they'll hide in vegetation or hardscape nearby to the nesting sites of the Lepomis. And
Uh-huh.
when the sunfish leaves the nest, they'll
Mhm.
dart in there and spawn over top of the gravel in the nest, and then dart out before the sunfish comes back, and then they rely on the sunfish to raise their fry.
Almost like a cuckoo bird
Yeah.
or
Yep.
a cowbird, even. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's really cool.
Yeah. So
And
there's stuff like that that's not really, I mean, it's doable, but it's not really feasible on a larger scale and stuff. So
well, Jorge brought up a good point, man. Talking about information. And when he was like, so is there data out there or is this just something you observed? And what I wanted to add to what Jorge said is this for y'all listening. Never, never, never discount what you're doing. And I hear that so much, and it pisses me off that social media, and I think it's a cultural thing with us Americans to be self-deprecating. Like it's
oh
cute,
right.
it's
Yeah.
cool to shit all over yourself. Like if I like you can't say I'm great, I'm awesome, I'm cool, or you full of yourself. You're a narcissist. That's the new buzzword for all the
Yeah.
hurt women. I don't care. I went there. So like this self-deprecating mentality that we have as Americans, it speaks volumes to something you just said. Bro, it's observation. It's observation. So don't discount what you observe because you just might be the only damn fool keeping these minnows and you care enough to go spend $3,000 making them the tank that replicates the river you got them out of. So why would you go and put that much investment and energy into something and
Yeah.
then discredit, discount your results, your findings, what you're doing? Because the peanut gallery didn't approve of it. And you didn't understand or couldn't take into context that they can't approve of it because it's over their head.
Right.
So if you could kind of speak to that, that would be dope.
Um. I mean, I don't know what else to really add to that. Again, it's just, all research is valid, and like you said, you can't discredit yourself or, dismiss your own observations. What you're seeing is happening for a reason, and
Right.
so it's important to like not everything's the same in everybody's eyes. So I think it's definitely important to take into consideration you know, your observations that you're making and everything. And
No,
I
yeah,
don't, I don't
that's a valid point. And
yeah,
Mandy brings up a good point. I call myself out too. That's and see, Mandy, I don't see that as self-deprecation as much as I see it as accountability.
yeah,
You're not
that's
a
accountability.
charlatan. You're not full of shit. If you made a mistake, you can take accountability and say, "Hey, I made a mistake. Let's learn together." And that's what it's all about. It's growth. Um, I want to create this space in social media, especially like on the fish end, because it's really ego driven. I mean, at the end of the day, like fish social media, there's a handful of channels with like biology lessons in them because that shit's boring. I like it. I'm
Yeah.
glad that those handful of channels exist, but the majority of this space is populated by flexing. It's just substantiated flexing and consumption. That's it.
Yeah.
What we're doing here is I'm going to take accountability for that. I am a part of this consumption. I know I am. Rather than self-deprecate, I want to give a solution. So I want to educate and understand at the same time why is it the way it is. And bringing guests up like Keni Like how we had Stella today, we had Mark in the past, Tommy, all the people that we've had going through this, is to substantiate that, because we all share the same sentiments. We just go about saying them in a different way. But yeah, Jorge's jumping out.
Yeah, I got to go
And
to work.
go ahead, Jorge.
But I just before I leave it, Kenny, I just want to say thank you very much. I'll
Yeah.
be listening to this. I'm not. I have to get ready for work, but I'll definitely be listening to this. I'm kind of disappointed that I have to go, but it's just the things the way that things work out. But thank you guys. This is not over. It's not over. It's just I need to step away.
Yeah. Well, thank you for having me on, and have a great night at work.
All right, man. Take care, Jorge. So, real quick, we ain't gonna stay on too much longer. Jorge had to jump off, y'all. Going into that question that he brought up of, was it observation or was it research? And then talking about basically not discounting your own results. I understand that a lot of people do that, to where they'll ignore what they see because it doesn't match the same results that someone that they like, that they idolize, that they were able to get. So it becomes internal. And I say this sometimes, I get frustrated when I be talking to people, because I'll be like, God damn it, just let the science, bro.
Yeah, and that's
I don't
the thing.
care what your favorite YouTuber
You
said.
can have
Let
different
the science.
methods that equal the same results.
That's right.
It's science, man.
There's always a reason for something. Observe it and understand it. And it's like the blind leading the blind. You know what I'm saying? Because you have this disconnect, because this is social media. Our motivation here is each other, and oftentimes it's not the art. And one of the good things about having you up is showing, yes, this is a hobby. Yes, it is biology. Yeah, we can nerd out and start talking about like cytoplasms and all kind of shit. But don't forget, this is art. And there's a philosophy in this. In the same way Henry David Thoreau, he from your neck of the woods. They could sit outside and, look at a damn tree and write a book. Like, I can look at my fish tanks and see like a rhythm to it. Like, I'm gonna be honest, man. Like, staring at fish tanks makes it not so bad. It takes the sting away. Because if they can sit in that seemingly monotonous box, at my disposal, basically, like their enrichment come from me. So I think, right? But then when you really start looking at it, no, that's not the case at all, man. The enrichment comes from them. They enrich themselves.
Yeah.
Like, I'm watching these now. They doing their thing. I just drop some shit in there and put water. That's it.
And that's what I love about biotopes too, is because the more natural of the environment that you provide for them, the more natural of the behavior that you get out of them.
Okay.
And you get to see a different side of the fish when they feel like they're in a natural environment versus when they're in like a rainbow gravel fish tank with SpongeBob decorations or something.
No, it's funny because Hog Aquatics, I think, he put a post up like that, but he was making fun of himself, showing growth in the hobby, like starting out with the rainbow gravel, and then it was a pretty dope tank in the back at the end.
Yeah,
you're the second person to say this. I think Ryan said it on last episode, but I made the comment to the effect that these tanks remind me of an insane asylum for the fish, to where, like, it would drive them batshit crazy. And what I started doing was softening my tanks and making them more comfortable for the fish. But in doing that, I came across the problem that we all do. Nature is ugly, but that is subjective
Yeah, it's
because what
the
is ugly?
beauty. Yeah, the
You know
beauty in nature comes from the chaos.
exactly.
There's
That's
chaos
so
and
true.
beauty. You know.
I did a competition tank, and it was called Organized Chaos, and it was a nano. It was a Japanese Dutch hybrid, and that's what I called it. Hell, on my bio, on all my bios, that's what I say is I'm impartial, like nature. That's the beauty of it. It don't care. So, how did you incorporate that art part, that happy medium between what popular culture would call ugly and make it a nuance? So, bringing in art, like all my tanks, I look at them when I talk about this stuff because it never goes away. This shit ain't gonna never not feel the same way it does until I take my last breath. I don't give a shit. And it's that nuance of, well, shit, make it aesthetically pleasing, but at the same
Right.
time, soften it so that you pull out all those behaviors of the fish to where like they don't like all my fish are wild in the
Yeah.
house. Like they run when I come to the tank. And that's what I want. I have a
My
few that aren't, but the majority of them, I try to keep them as wild as possible.
Most of my fish, I can reach in the tank and pick them up with my hands. But like at the same time, they're like I think probably 80% of the fish that I have right now are all
Mm-hmm.
wild caught.
Yeah.
But like my sunfish, like my pumpkin seeds and bluegills in the
Mm-hmm.
180 behind me, like I can reach in the tank and pet most of
Yeah,
them.
they're dogs, man. They're like little
Yeah,
dogs.
they're water puppies, you know.
Yeah.
Even the mountain red bellied dace and the saffron shiners in my river tank,
Mm-hmm.
like I can stick my hand in there and scoop some of them out of the water if I wanted to.
Right.
But all of those are wild caught. Um, you know, so it's cool to see like to have that interaction with the fish and stuff. But back to your question, like what I'm sorry, what was your question again
The
exactly?
art, the
The art.
nuance of the art.
So there's a lot of people I'm sure that will look at some of my tanks and not think they look good because of the amount of algae or the detritus in there and stuff like that. But for me, it's beautiful because it's perfectly imperfect, but at the same time, it's well, like it's not. It's a balanced aquarium and it's a healthy aquarium,
Right.
you know. So that's where I find the beauty in it. It's just it's the beauty of nature, man. It's the like I said, it's the beauty and the chaos and the just the you know the the organized chaos, you know. But that's you know where how do I add like how do I incorporate the art aspect into it? I
Yeah.
think is my artistic ability is recreation of the natural environments
Okay.
and like it's easy to put rocks and driftwood in a tank. It's not really easy to put them in there in a way that they look natural. And
Keep
that's where
going.
the artistic eye comes in where you can see flow and lines in the driftwood. You can see the flow of the rocks and stuff like that. You can see you know you could see fluid dynamics
Right.
in the gravel and the sand in the streams and stuff and how fluid dynamics will affect the grain size of gravel or sand that's in
The
particular areas.
stratification. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
So, dude,
and
no, that's why I said keep going. I'm there. Like I do this shit.
and
So I'm about
that's
to
where
really
the
get you going. Jorge
artistic
gonna be pissed he jumped off. We finna nerd. Peak game.
that's where the artistic ability comes in. I
So
think it's
check this
my
out. You
it's
know how they be having it, right? And the cats, they'll go to the little seminar, and
yep,
you'll have, Boo Boo the Guru up there with the fucking ethereal techno music in the background and shit. And this motherfucker over here putting sticks and rocks and shit in there like he that nigga.
yep,
So let's make some methodology for us nerds, right? Because okay, I'll do one too. Then I'll be that dude. Fuck it.
yep,
I use gravity. I've
yeah,
been doing this for years, to where I use that fluid dynamics, right? So I
yep,
say, trees ain't got no fingers, and I will literally throw a shit ton of wood, uncured, unboiled, in a tank because I
yeah.
want.
I don't boil and clean my drip
Yeah, no.
fluid.
As I said, I want the dirt, I want the bacteria, I want it all. I want that biofilm. Number one. Number two, I don't want it waterlogged because I want the fluid dynamics to do it. I want the natural motion of the water in my aquarium to make that wood lay down the same way that it would happen if it was a creek, a storm, a tidal wave. I don't give a damn.
Yeah,
And I show it to people, like I'll send people videos, I show it to my son, but it's like I'm looking at this one. I'm doing this Lake Barambe Koto. I
yep,
done got the cat out the bag, but I'm doing this Camerooni volcanic lake. And it took forever to match rocks, to do everything. The only thing that don't belong in here is some of this manzanita wood, but if I wouldn't have said nothing with all the sediment that's on it, you wouldn't know. So, like talking about these methodologies of that recreational part, right?
yep,
Fluid dynamics, the different stratification, uh, using gravity, like with my leaves, like when I do the leaf litter, when I try to set up a mulm bottom,
yep.
it's the same thing. I very rarely are you gonna catch me placing leaves. I take a handful of them and I put them in there, and I
Yeah,
like it.
same thing.
And I'm gonna show y'all this is my favorite aquascaping tool right here. This bamboo stick. I
Yeah,
use this thing. I can trim plants with this end. I shit you not. I place plants with this little notch right here in the end. I can do anything I want to with this stick. Anything.
yep,
And I have noticed that I got, I don't know, hundreds of dollars, probably thousands of dollars in all kind of gimmicks and mag floats and flippers. I like them flippers though. You pull it and you turn it, it flips over and it's got the scraper blade on it. But I got
I
all
got
this crap.
I've got a big one for the 180, one of the mag flippers.
Oops. But this though, this is my go-to aquascaping tool, a damn stick.
Yep,
And it's because, like what you said, some of this stuff to replicate, you can't do it like nature. Like you really gotta that's what sends my OCD into hyperdrive. Like I will obsess over something dumb like 8 millimeter piece of gravel. Not it don't need to be there, bruh. It don't need, and then I get the stick and I push that bitch. Yeah, you don't go there. Bloop. Oh, now it looks good. That's me though. So some
yeah,
of these methodologies, I think we need to get this hyped up. We need to get people excited about it to understand that nothing's cut and dry. It don't have to be all nerd out hardcore, biology, taxonomy, Latin, blah, blah, blah. Then on the juxtaposed to that, it don't have to be AGA, Aqua Garden Mono, $1,000 per rock. There's a happy medium in there that
Yeah.
exists in this world, and it is Biotope Aquariums, which is what we doing right here.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, every bit of hardscape and probably 90% of the substrate, with like 100% of the substrate, with the exception of my dirted substrates that I use under the sand caps, everything in my tanks is collected locally. All of the substrates, the sands, the whether it's the clay-based sand that I use or the slate-based sand that I use that's
Right.
darker colored, um, or the various river stones, the driftwood, everything in my tanks is collected locally. And that's my fish keeping on a budget kind of thing, you know.
Honestly, though, I don't think it is. And this is one of them, excuse me, this is one of them things that kind of scares me in lieu
Yep.
of being a gatekeeper because it's going to catch on. I have been
Oh, yeah.
putting so much more energy in the substrate now simply because where I'm at and what I want, you're not buying that in a bag anywhere. I
Yeah.
have to go to rock yards. I have to go to dirt yards. Let me tell y'all something which y'all might not know. Any landscaping yard, rock yard, sand, gravel, whatever, I'm pretty damn sure that dirt, sand, rock, whatever, comes from within 50 to 75 to 150 miles of where you
Oh, yeah.
live. And that right there, my boys and girls, is called matching the hatch. It don't get no better than that as to sourcing your sand, your gravel, your substrate, etc. And when you pair that with your water coming out of the tap or rain, if that's what you're using, them two powers combined, you have Captain Planet. You got you're closer to on your way of an accurate biotope because you're matching the hatch. Now, mind you,
Yeah.
the chlorine water, but still, the mineral element is still for the most part the integrity gonna be there intact, somewhat. Than say RO water from who knows where, or like Dasani, that's
Well,
Coca-Cola.
that's where Prime comes into play,
Exactly.
man.
Throw some prime in it, or
That's
do
it.
like me, use rain. But
Yep.
that part right there, that nuance, the substrate part, that's fixing to take off because botanicals hit it first. All right.
Oh, yeah.
It went from the manzanita wood and the bonsai skeletons coming out from Arizona from the AGA guys
Yep.
to you had a few people wanting to throw leaves, twigs, and sticks in aquariums, and
Yeah.
you had a few people pioneer it and start businesses doing it.
Well,
And now
I've got a 60
everybody's doing
gallon. Yeah, I've got a 60-gallon tote in the garage full of oak leaves and maple leaves that I collect off the oak and maple trees in my yard and shit, and throw them in there, let them dry out, and then toss it off. I'll just throw them right on the surface of the water in the aquarium, push them down a little bit
it.
so they
Right?
get wet, and within a couple days they're wherever they want to be on the substrate in the tank, and I let the scuds and whatever else in the tanks eat them and in turn feeding the fish too and everything else, creating a more
Right.
natural habitat.
I might have a use for some of the maple leaves. I got Texas oak leaf litter. I keep it too. I'm a weirdo like that.
I've got a 70-foot tall silver maple tree in my
Oh, you
backyard
got a
that,
silver maple? We
yeah.
have maples in Texas. Good luck finding them. And then a lot of them are brought in ornamentals. But I think we have water maple down here.
Yeah, we've got sugar maples, silver maples. I forget. I mean, maple trees come from northeast in Canada and stuff. So
Yeah. See, so when I lived in Virginia, there was no shortage of maple trees.
yeah.
But
And the thing is,
the
I like I like adding both of them to my tanks because one, oak leaves are a great long-term food source
Mm-hmm.
for scuds and snails and other detritivores and stuff like that. Whereas maple leaves decay a lot quicker than the oak leaves
Right.
do, and they're more of a quicker food
Quick.
source.
Yeah.
You know, so it's a great balance between the two types of leaves, uh, to provide food for microfauna and your biotope aquariums and stuff.
Okay, so we're on the whole decorating topic, and we'll talk about this and then wrap it up. In a you know, after this topic, we're talking about the different textures, right? So
Yep.
you paint. I can talk in analogies of painting, I guess. So like when I was little on PBS, I used to watch Bob Ross a lot, you know, and rip to the homie Bob Ross. But
I got
I
a
like
story about Bob Ross. I'll tell you in a
really
minute.
you got to tell me that in a second. I liked Bob Ross because he made what he did look easy, but he had a system that he always used every time. He never deviated from his system, and he showed you that hey, even though this is a system, the real thing driving this is right here. Good old fashioned imagination. These ain't nothing but tactics and methodologies. The art comes from in here. So, how do you where do you get your muse from? Like what's off limits, what's not? Because like for me, nothing's off limits. I have literally bled decorating the tank. And I mean literally because I was using brambles and shit. Because nothing else could give me the look I wanted.
Yeah. Um, my only limit is keeping it native. You know, nothing outside of that. Nothing is off limits to me. Uh, I I'm not above, like, if I were to do a Florida biotope, I wouldn't be above adding like um some of the introduced plants that are, prevalent in Florida and
That's a good
stuff.
point
Like,
you
you
bring
know what I
up.
mean? Like
Mm-hmm.
Ludwigia and stuff like that.
Right.
But aside from
Rosella's another one. Yeah.
yeah, but aside from that, it's just my only criteria is keeping it native, like staying true to that North American native theme, that I enjoy and love. So I mean,
That's what's
I've got some Nezicolotl swordtails, which are a Gadiid species, but
mm-hmm.
They're from Mexico, and I consider Mexico North America.
It
You
is.
know, because it is North America. I'm not just, I'm not eliminating. I'm not sticking to the continental
You
U.S.
didn't say United States. You
Yeah,
said North America.
it's North America. You know what I mean?
No, it's
And
sad, but it's funny because you do have to delineate that in 2023. I don't think
yeah,
they teach geography anymore. Uh,
yeah,
yes, Mexico is in America, and so is Costa Rica, and so is Panama,
yeah,
and so is Trinidad. God,
yeah.
they're all in
But
America.
I mean, man, if I could, there's two fish that are non-native that I would absolutely love to keep if I could, but both of them are on the endangered species list
What are
and
they?
you're not allowed to keep them in the United States.
What are they?
One of them is snakeheads. Like I
Okay,
would
yeah.
love
I
I would
want to
love some
ornate my
snakeheads.
damn self.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. I
And
want one.
the other one is Phenoxys phenoxys, which is the Eurasian minnow, and they're beautiful species of fish that are um, endemic to most parts of like Europe and
So is this like
uh,
a roach, a bitterling, like one of those Eurasian cyprinids?
I've got a artwork on my wall here of them. that I
Okay.
could show you.
Because yeah,
So
I went kind of hard on Eurasia, especially the Danube. Yep, that's them.
these are
That's
so
dope.
these are the
Yeah,
Eurasian minnows. So they've got like that beautiful emerald
look at
green
that
and red
shark.
on their sides and stuff. They're beautiful fish, but you're not allowed to import them or keep them in the United States because they would easily
Go
establish
invasive here.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh
See
Jesus.
now, no, there's no segue. There's nowhere that's too hot. They're Eurasian. They can take the heat. They can take. They're temperate fish. Let's
Yeah.
talk about that real quick. And like these
I can,
species.
and then after all this, oh, what I wanted to get to, sorry, real quick. Bob Ross,
Yes.
did you know his paintings that he's done over the years are actually a journey that he's taken in his life? Like all of his paintings are of a journey that he went on.
You know which episode? I just got chill bumps right now, bro. The episode that I remember the most is the episode that aired after his wife passed away. And
Yep.
he was talking about darkness. And sometimes you need a little bit of light to know with the darkness, or well, I just messed it up. But either way, like he was painting his happy little trees and he was talking about darkness. And he was like,
Yeah, it's because
I'm just waiting for a little happiness right now.
you sometimes in life you need a little darkness to appreciate the light.
Yeah, that's what he said. And he was like, I'm just waiting for the light right now. And I was
Yeah.
like, dang. Nate, his wife had just passed away. Yeah, Bob Ross was deep. I
Yeah, but
like
there's a video out there of like somebody compiled a bunch of his paintings that he did into like a slideshow, and it's basically this hike through these mountain woods past like through
Yeah,
this stream and waterfalls and past this lake up
right.
to the summit of this mountain.
Yep, I seen it. It's got the lighthouse and everything in there. It's cool.
Yeah.
He did that over the course of how many seasons?
Yeah, it's
He was on
years
TV
and
forever.
years.
Yeah, you know. So with that, I want to ask you in closing this. Do you see a future not only for native species in the hobby, but do you see a future for biotopes? Do you see the art form getting to where 25 years ago, 1994, 95, I think, is when I first heard about Takashi Amano.
Yeah.
And by 1999, it was still like very few people knew about who he was, but it was catching on, you know.
Takashi
Now,
Amano was one of my big
yeah.
influences early on in my aquarium keeping years.
Do you see it evolving the same way? Like, do you feel like we're on the edge of something right here? Do you feel like that we're pioneering something that, I don't know, 20 years from now, people can come back and say, yeah, man, that's what Steve and Keni and Jorge and Mark and all them, that's what they've been doing. They've been doing that. Like, do you see that for us?
I absolutely do see it because I'm making it my mission to make it that way. You know, so
Me too.
that's so I see it coming about that way. And the biggest thing about growth, especially in like such a big industry and stuff like the aquarium keeping hobby and everything, the biggest thing about growth is change. Like
Right.
there's fads that come around, fads come and go, Dutch aquarium styles, stuff like that. You know, it's all aquascaping fads, and sooner or later people are going to start to get tired of it. You know, you see the
Right.
same, you can only see an Iwagami setup so many times before you've seen them all,
Right.
or a Dutch style setup before you've seen them all. And the next step is biotopes in recreating nature
It's
in an
infinite.
aquarium, because that's when it comes down to it. That's what aquariums are for. That's what aquariums are meant to be. They're meant to be a recreation of nature in your home.
Right.
So that's I definitely see it going that way, and I definitely hope that it does progress and take off that way.
Me too. I mean, that's the last stronghold, really and truly, as far as
Yeah.
the hobby is concerned. Is biotopes, is understanding these things live outside. And I'm taking it a step further. I keep world natives. A lot of the stuff's cosmopolitan, but a lot of it's endemic.
Yep.
It's only from there. It ain't coming from nowhere else. And those species, we're losing them. Like I'm in
Yeah.
AKA. We talking about killifish a lot. A lot of the killifish, especially the equatorial African species,
Yep.
we're losing them because people want to drive electric cars, because of these things right here, because of this
Oh yeah,
computer we're
the
talking on.
cobalt mining in
Yeah,
Africa and stuff.
exactly. Meanwhile, while the world is distracted about these atrocities happening, that's on the news. I don't need to say that shit don't
Yep.
scratch the surface of the people being murdered every day. So we can talk on these and,
Did you know
control our carbon
for
footprint.
for every 200 grams of synthetic material that's produced, it creates the same amount of carbon emission as driving a gas vehicle 3,000 kilometers.
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah. I had to we did a little project for my poli science class, and I did a presentation on environmental racism. Yes, it is a thing. It does exist.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah, I do know. So my goal is to draw light to the real bad stuff that's happening, the real stuff. Like,
Yeah.
I have a facetious hashtag that I started. It's called "Fuck Them Polar Bears," because we've been lied to, and we have all these invisible threats. But there's stuff that each one of us can do starting today that will really elicit some impact. And
Yeah.
rather than bitch about it, I'm gonna be about it. And that's why we're doing what we're doing here. And I got my stick. So
And that's
yeah,
why I'm trying to do what I'm doing too. I I started a little over a year ago. I started taking courses for aquatic biology and ichthyology. So I'm
yeah,
going for a 4-year degree,
that's
and
what's up.
hopefully eventually work in that field and stuff. So
I've been going to school too. Same thing. I'm going for horticulture though, and I like learning, man. School is so fun, and I'm
yeah,
gonna tell you something. School pulled me out of the depression that YouTube put me into.
yeah,
Hell yeah, man. Science is still sciencing, and it ain't about like popularity. I think he was trying to do something and accidentally knocked himself off, but science is still sciencing, y'all, is what I'm saying. And being able to go to school, learn stuff, and then like I'm in class and professors delineating the concept, and I'm like, well, I know that. And then I tell it, and they like, how and why? Because it's some weird shit, y'all. Normal people ain't supposed to know this. And I'm like, oh, no, see, I keep fish tanks in. We talk about the nitrogen cycle all the time. So when you're talking about fungi being saprophytes and they put most of the nitrogen and phosphorus into the environment via this process, like it's in, I'm knowing. They like, oh, and I'm like, yeah, that, Matthew McConaughey moment. So I encourage you to keep learning. And if y'all have the resources to do so, take your ass to school. Go learn.
Yeah, you're never too old to go back to school or to learn.
Never.
You know, life is about learning and implying or implementing that you're
That's
learned
right.
now.
Well, I'm gonna just say it like this, Kenny. It's embarrassing because you got grown people on the internet in a position as advocate and teacher, and they
Yeah.
not thoroughly versed in what they advocating or teaching.
Yeah.
So
Oh yeah.
me taking accountability for me, I don't want to be up here being a damn fool talking about something that I can't refute or substantiate.
Right.
So if you ain't got nothing else, man, this has been dope because I could start another topic, but it's not conducive. This is good.
We can
I
do whatever
appreciate
you
you
want,
for
man.
coming up, man.
I got the time. You guys want to see some of my tanks before my lights shut off in 20 minutes?
We can do that real quick if the crowd's up for it. If not, they can catch you on the replay. We can do that. Take 5 minutes and give us a tour.
All right. I'll give you a little tour. Hold on, let me grab you here.
Let me get you up here.
Make sure I don't fucking back out again when I'm trying to switch camera modes or something. Every time I try to check something or do something, I end up backing out. Done. Camera. Bam. Bam. Camera. All right. So here's the look at the fish room, basically. Sorry about the glare. That's better. So we got so I've got tanks, a bunch of random tanks that are just like green water and aquatic insects that I use for feeding and stuff like that. But this is my custom built 25-gallon Georgia swamp biotope.
Okay.
So this was a 50-gallon aquarium, basic same footprint as a 55, 48 by 12 by 20.
Mm-hmm.
But it had a broken side panel when I found it, and I cut it down, cut it apart, cut it down, and turned it into a 25. So now it's 48 by 12 by 9.
Okay.
And it's got bluefin killifish, Heterandria formosa, which are least killifish, and Ellisoma evergladi or Ellisoma gilberti, which are Gulf
Piggy
Coast
sunfish.
pygmy sunfish. Yeah.
Look.
And then you can see there's a bunch of mulm and stuff in there, but there's one of the bluefins in the back there. And then there's, for plant life, I've got Nymphaea ordata, which is a native pond lily. This plant here, which is growing immersed, I'm not sure what it is, honestly. It sprouted out of the substrate and then grew out of the tank. And some duckweed, as you can see. And then there's some hornwort in there as well. And that's that tank. It's actually filterless too. It did have a sponge filter,
Uh-huh.
but the sponge filter hasn't worked in like 3 months, and I've been too lazy to clean it. And
Well, it don't look like you need it. It looks like it's responding to not having a filter.
yeah, and I mean it's doing great. The plants are growing. There's a ton of fry in this tank, which I believe are from the bluefins. And the aquarium's doing great. I mean, there's aquatic insects in here. There's snails. And then there's a sunburst diving beetle in the background. I don't know if you can see him because he's tiny. But there's like, diving beetles in here. There's all kinds of stuff. There's bloodworms that are growing in here.
That's
I feed
awesome.
these guys mosquito larvae, stuff like that.
Okay, so you do feed them?
I do. I supplement feeding every once in a while.
Okay.
I don't feed that tank very often, but when I do, it's like mosquito larvae or bloodworms that I've pulled out of the kiddie pool in the backyard. Because I've got
Gotcha.
like an old kiddie pool sitting on the deck in the backyard, is full of like green murky water and full of mosquito larvae and bloodworms and daphne and stuff like that. And then this is the 180-gallon Lake Champlain Biotope.
Oh, that's awesome.
This has pumpkin seeds, bluegills, a rock bass, and a bowfin.
You got a rock bass?
Yeah, he's a little tiny guy, but he's right there. This guy right
Yeah,
there.
he is. Look at him. Bro, I want to get my hands on some Sacramento perch so bad.
Yeah, the little rock bass in there with some big dogs.
He's so pretty.
But these everybody in here is wild caught. But like
Yeah, they're all water dogs, man. Look at them.
I'm
They want to eat. That is too cool.
like they're all super like used to me now. Another stand for a second 180. So the second 180 that's going here is a continuation of the Lake Champlain Biotope, but
Okay.
this one will be a community tank where this one's going to be a predator tank, and eventually the bowfin's going to go in here, and then I have a long nose gar
Okay.
and a chain pickerel that are going to go in there for grow out until they get too big.
Okay. What else are you gonna put in there on the predatory end? I'm really curious to know what
So
predators in Champlain.
what I'm thinking is it's going to be the bowfin, the long nose gar, the chain pickerel, and then probably a couple yellow perch.
That'd be cool. Can you guys, is it legal to keep sauger or walleye in your state as a pet?
So in New York State, it's not legal to keep anything that's native to New York State, but I've got permits to keep native fish through an educational permit. So
Okay. Now before you move over to the next section of the fish room, the question is, are you gonna put a picture of Chappie, the Lake Champlain Loch Ness monster, like over there?
I
You
gotta find
should, bro.
I gotta find a piece of driftwood that looks like them. That's like,
Put a big sea serpent
um,
in there. Yeah, bro.
yeah. But that's the second 180 is going there, and then I've got a 175 bow front that's gonna go right here against the wall going up where the stairs are. But
What's
that's
gonna go in that?
that I don't have an official plan for that one yet, but I would like to keep brook trout in it.
Ooh.
So here's the custom built 73-gallon stream tank. You can see this in this tank is there's crescent shiners, which is the one with like this guy here with the stripes on his, like the vertical stripes on the side. The saffron shiners have that emerald green lateral line, and then the mountain red belly dace, which are the ones with like the leopard print on their backs. And then this is the tank. This is my first biotope. Not this version of it, but this tank itself was the first biotope that I set up,
Okay.
and subsequently the first tank that was showcased on my YouTube channel.
So if you had to do this build again, is there anything that you would change? Knowing like now you got data from the field, it's up, it's running, it's stable. Would you change
Yeah.
anything?
I think the only thing I would change is the supports here underneath the false bottom.
Yeah.
I would take those out and run strips of glass, like 1/4 inch glass, 2 inch by 1/4 inch,
Uh-huh.
um, and run them lengthwise to create less resistance of the water going through the egg crate
Gotcha. I think it'd
and
be a
make
little
it,
more aesthetic too.
yeah, and it would make it more accessible in the bottom to clean like some of this algae that's built up on the glass and stuff underneath the false bottom. So like that's all algae that's on the glass in the false bottom.
Now, do you think that, like, I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I think like if that whole thing was algae loaded, it would be dope. Or it's part of the allure, being able to see the mechanics of it. Because I mean that's art too.
I think I would like. I had the thought of putting like window tint across the bottom to hide all of that because as an afterthought, I don't like how much the supports stand out. So that again, that's why I would change it. But
Right. I'm
I
with
like
Mark. I
I like
say leave the
yeah
algae. It looks dope.
yeah I like the algae. It makes it less noticeable that it's a false bottom.
Until you said something, I'm gonna be honest to you. I thought that was just some substrate that had found its way in there, and you left it
Yeah.
because it looked cool.
But yeah, so that's the 73-gallon stream tank.
All right.
And I got some plants here. And then this is where all the magic happens.
Okay.
This is the breeding and grow out room. These are all like there's a couple tanks that are empty right here which need to be cleaned and drained fully and stuff, but I've got some like green water tanks for Daphne and green water for fry and infusoria and stuff. And then I've got I've got so many different fish in here. It's ridiculous, honestly. But these guys down here are Piedmont shiners. So this is a breeding project. These are all Piedmont shiners in here. I've got my juvenile long nose gar. I've got where is he? Juvenile chain pickerel. There he is. Hey, buddy. There's some red lip shiners in here I'm working with to get them spawning. These are F1 rainbow darters from my adult rainbow darters that I had bred inadvertently.
Oh, cool.
These are juvenile saffron shiners, which came, they were the spawning from the stream tank, the saffrons in the stream tank. So those are F1s as well.
I was about to say, are those F1s too, or you been breeding those?
Those are F1s. I've got some wild caught rainbow shiners in here, which they're all hiding behind a log right there in the back, so you can't really see them.
Do you do that for genetic diversification or type locale or a little bit of both?
A little bit of both. Yeah, I do it more. I'd say more for genetic diversity,
Mm-hmm.
than keeping type locales and stuff. But that's also important to me as well. So
See, I like the minimalist way you run in your
yeah,
project room. I run mine that way. I try the shit light bill be high, number one. And two,
yeah.
filters kill
I mean,
stuff, man. All that microfauna and the free pets, the free bugs and stuff.
I
Filters kill it.
use all LED shop lights in here, and
Straight up.
every aquarium in my fish room, with the exception of the stream tank, is run off of sponge filters, which are all powered by one linear piston air pump. And then you can see the PVC baffle that runs the whole perimeter of my fish room. with
Mm-hmm.
like drop downs for all the tanks.
Okay.
It goes out through the wall, comes across here for these tanks, and then
Now you running a
yeah,
DC pump to power that?
yep.
All
I'll show you
right.
the pump if you want to see it. So
I
you got
mean, I've seen it, but if
yeah,
the people might want to see it because this stuff really does inspire people, man. And I like how you doing it
yeah.
because you ain't got to go broke to do this kind of stuff, y'all.
That's my one air pump that powers all the
That
sponge
whole
filters.
room.
Yeah, I've got 30, 34, 30, 35 tanks right now running off of sponge filters from that one pump. And that's it. I mean, a bunch of different fish breeding projects I'm working on, and these are my Nezzy swordtails in this tank.
I
Which,
like how you got that in there with the sticks, man.
yeah, that's all roots from
That drives
this
me
guy.
nuts. That Monstera, that's dope.
That monster right there is a clipping from this one here.
That's water propagation at its finest, damn it. I
Yeah.
got a bunch of them around the house.
And then you can see I've got pothos going into all the
Yeah.
tanks, big pothos over here. But this monstera is sending out shoots. Like, look at this shoot coming out from it.
Yeah.
Like, going out, I'm about to stick it in this aquarium here. But yeah,
Yeah, that's awesome.
that's it. It's just everything down here. So I've got a bunch of these Wi-Fi power strips. Everything's on Wi-Fi power strips, so I can turn lights on and off from anywhere in the world, or set up timers for them all, which they all have timers.
Okay, the Wi-Fi powered now. Do you get them off of Amazon, or where would the people go
Yeah.
look for something like that?
These are on Amazon. They're like $24 a piece. They've got 4 regular outlets, 4 USB outlets. You can set up timers.
Work with any kind of phone?
Yeah, any kind of phone. There's an app. It's a smart home app you download with a really great interface where you can select each individual power strip, and you can name them and stuff, and all sorts of shit.
Oh, that's cool.
And
Does
I've
it
got
have it
my
to where you can control each outlet, or is it just the power strip itself?
No, you can set up a timer for each different individual timers for each one of the 4 outlets,
Hell yeah.
and then one timer for all 4 of the USB outlets.
Gee, you spend $25, get one of them, and run your whole joint off of that
Yeah,
with different, different extension cords and other power strips.
yeah. Like I've got them. I've got my lights hooked up to them. I've got the pump. I've got a fan here for air circulation in this room. More plants, everything. So
And it's just a storage room that you converted into a critter room.
yeah, it's just a room in my basement. It's got it used to be like an entertainment room, like a little movie theater kind of thing.
Uh-huh.
It's got like the built-in here with the shelves, like the built-in entertainment center.
Right.
But I've converted into a breeding room for fish and stuff. Put these racks in. But then here's an example of like some of the driftwood that I've collected. Like this is all one piece right here.
Mm-hmm.
Some gnarly looking pieces that I love. Like this guy's.
Yeah, that's pretty nice, man.
A bunch of real nice pieces. And stuff like this I really like too, like the rock grown into the driftwood.
Mm-hmm.
You get another piece there that's really nice. And some bigger pieces. Yeah. I mean, that's pretty much it. That's my fish room.
Well, no, that was definitely cool. I
You've
appreciate
got
it.
my 55-inch and my fireplace, and
So that's like your little hideout cave, more or less.
yeah, well, I've also got like my bar over here. I'm at my bar with well, it's kind of dark. Hold on.
Is that the mummy
Yeah.
chogs right there, begging for food?
Yeah, oh yeah, they're begging for food.
That's a killifish, y'all.
Yeah. I've also got Fungulus chrysalis.
Oh, you
Golden
got those?
Pot.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think down in this
Like
tank down here.
that was one of the hardest fish to catch when I was a little kid, man. They still are.
So those are Eastern. Oh, Jesus. Well, it's
Oh,
12:30.
you did say the light was going off.
Yeah.
Yep, there they go.
There we go. That's it.
Well, I guess that's a sign from
Yes, sir.
technology.
But yeah, that's the fish room in a nutshell.
Well, I definitely appreciate you for showing us that. I want to thank everybody that pulled up. This was a last minute kind of thing. We did a
Yep.
late show. We kind of wanted to see what it would be like Jorge said earlier. We don't know if this is like an everyday thing. This is for ABC Aquatics for Keni. Or Biotopes, I'm sorry. And if you got anything before you go, if
I ain't
not,
got shit.
we can wrap it up. All right. Well, with that, I appreciate everybody for stopping by. Again, Keni, thank you. What we're trying to do is get the art form that is biotopes and take the intimidating part away of education. It's okay to learn stuff. And if you don't get it perfect, good, because that means you did it right. Nature ain't perfect, even though it is. So with that, I'll leave you guys. Keni, thank you again, brother. All of y'all have a good weekend. Have a blessed night.
Have a good night, everybody.
Peace.